it's February, but I actually forgot about this video. I had it written down in my video to-do list, but I never actually filmed it because I forgot about it. And now that I looked back, I know that this should be a good video, hopefully. So, let's get into it. So my 2019 started in London. I went on vacation there and I ran the Hyde Park 10K. I ran that in 38:30-ish. I don't know the official time, but it was a huge race. 473 people were in the race. My legs were really tired because we were walking around a lot. I definitely now would be able to run a faster 10K than this 38:30. So on that race, I got the best race picture I've ever had of me. So that was cool. I was coming off of not my best cross-country season, so I was determined to have a good track season. And I had a great winter of training. I had a 60-mile week where I felt really good, and then the indoor season started. Memories fizzle. Why the hell I care if I can only... My goal initially going into the season was to go sub-11 in the 3200, and in the very first indoor meet I was 11:02. So I knew I needed to reshape those goals, and then I ended up changing that to sub 10:45, I believe. And as the indoor season progressed, I ended up getting under 11 in my second 3200. Later in the season, I was at the Western Dubuque Bobcat Relays, and I went 10:46. So I was pretty happy about that, and once again, I needed to reshape my goals. It was early April when I did that. The next week, I had my very first victory. I've never won a race before until this, and I was in a 3200 with 4 people, and it was really hot that night. That was an awful race. But later in the week, I had a Saturday meet. Just 4 or 5 days after winning that race, I ran a 3200 and I went 10:34. That was a hype race. Everything felt good, and it ended up being my PR, and I didn't run much faster the rest of the year. I ended up running a fresh mile for the first time of the season, and my goal was sub 5. I had been mentally preparing it all week. I was physically ready. My legs were feeling fresh, but the race was huge. There were probably at least 40 people in the race, and you had to go out fast or get boxed in. And I went out fast, but I still got boxed in. So I was boxed in, and I had perfect splits. 75-75. Maybe I might have had a 76, and that was what lost it, because I ended up running 5 flat .13. And when I came across the finish line, I saw 4:59. But as it turns out, I ran 5 flat .13, and that was really disappointing because I knew I was capable of doing it. So track season was over, and I had a 1600 PR of 5 flat .13 and a 3200 PR of 10:34. So the next week I decided to sign up for a 5K because I actually hadn't gone sub 18 yet, and I ended up going 17:46 officially, but the course was 3.16 miles, and I was second overall, so I was pretty happy with that result. It was a fun race, and then it was time to take some rest. I took 10 days off and then started getting back into it. A little while into the summer, into June, I was running on a gravel road when I started feeling pain in my IT band, which I had felt before over the winter just a little bit. My knee started hurting, and so I had to take some time off. I took almost 2 weeks of no running and just cross training, and doing band work and going to the physical therapist, and I ended up getting better and had a good summer. I ran a 5K mid-July, and it was humid and 81 degrees. It felt like 89, and I was really disappointed when I only ran 18:44. So one of the worst road races of my life, which you can watch up here if you want. So going into the season, I was a little bit discouraged, but I knew I could do better. In August, I ran another 3200. There's a 3200 time trial that my team did. I ended up running a 10:43, so that was my second fastest 3200 time. The next week I ran a 5K time trial and ran 17:54, so that was a good PR cross country. And then 2 weeks later I ran 17:30 on a really hilly course. So I was feeling good, and I knew I was going to have a good season. Every single cross-country meet that I raced, I was sub 18. I ended up getting down to 17:04 and 17:06. And then districts was very disappointing. I still think about districts on the weekly basis, thinking about how we should have gone to state. Probably one of the most devastating races I've ever been in. But later the next week, I ran a 5K and went sub 17. You can watch that up there. And then I also ran a 3200 time trial and went 10:25.8. So I was in good shape for the track season. Nice to set a PR, know where I was at in cross country, so I could build off of that. So, starting with my favorite event, the 3200, I want to run sub 10:15. Now that's the goal, but I would be a lot happier to run sub 10:10. Now that's a stretch, but you never know. So in the 1600, sub 4:50. In the 800, 2:18. 2:18 for 800. I think that's definitely possible. At least 500 subs. And I want to try to vlog every single meet that I run this year, or at least make a video of it, not necessarily vlog the entire process, because that can be distracting, and maybe for the big races I don't want to do that because I need to be focused. These are my goals. I think they are definitely reachable, and I wanted to add this part in the video just so I could have something to look back on. I think everybody should write out their goals for the season, even if it's just like what I did. My other goal for the season is to represent my team at districts in the 3200, because that's my favorite event, and if I was going to run at state, that would definitely be the event I'd want to race in. So I encourage you to write out your goals for the season, even if it's just like what I did. I think it can be very beneficial just to have something written down, because if you don't write it down, then maybe you won't be as dedicated to it. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review of my year and then my goals for this year. I'll see you next Thursday, and as always, live life to the max. Bye.